1.4 in Zenless Zone Zero brought a lot of changes to the game and a lot of additions, and my absolute favorite addition is the Lost Void game mode for the Hollow Zero. And in this video I want to give you my full extensive guide on my favorite addition in the 1.4. So let's talk about it. Hello everybody, my name is Hako and welcome to the channel. So this mode came in the 1.4 update. I was in the privileged position that I was able to play around with it a lot in the creator beta servers. And you access this new mode by the Hollow Zero terminal. You now have Wither Domain and the Lost Void. So if we go left to the Lost Void, first we can see that there's an empty tile, so something new is going to be coming. But what we want to click on is Battlefront Purge. This is basically the final edition, like the ultimate Hollow Zero experience. It leads heavily into like the roguelike elements of the previous ones, although it's cut out the TVs completely. But all of the like wacky and cool encounters that we had in the TVs are kind of like brought into this, but we actually get to experience them like firsthand, like with visuals, not only with, you know, text jumping through TVs. So first of all, we will see that we have difficulties ranging from 1 to 5. So we select whatever difficulty we want, and then we also select what buff we want. And now certain teams, certain characters, and certain people with their own unique playstyles are gonna like different buffs. For example, one of my favorites is the Resonium passion strategy. So coin combat areas have a 40% chance to grant 1 Resonium. Entering friendly talk areas also grant 1 general Resonium. So if you like Resonium, this is kind of your go-to pick. And as you can see, there are a bunch of them. Entering a hollow grants 1,500 gear coins, increases the numbers of items sold in the store by 1, and Bangboo merchants have a 20% chance of offering a 40% discount. Not a bad one, not a bad one. So there are a bunch of them here. There's one called Reinforcement Strategy. The damage dealt by Bangboo is increased by 100%. Each time a battle is won, the damage dealt by Bangboo increases by an additional 20%, and the damage dealt by Bangboo chain attack increases by 10%. This can be triggered up to a maximum of 10 times. So with this you can get like a real dangerous Bangboo. And this mode is kind of Bangboo focused in a little bit of a way. We all get to bring our own Bangboo, but in like once we load in, I'll show it in just a second, we'll also like get to pick another Bangboo that we briefly get to like control a little bit, and that's vastly gonna affect how we play the game. Every season also comes with its own specific buffs. So these are the current season's buffs, and you know, pick the buff that most will benefit your character. Out of these ones, if I were to run Ellen, I would, for example, take the bottom one. So as of currently, the game is kind of tailor-made for you bringing one out of 4 characters and then building a team around that character. Because 4 characters in the game, which is Ellen, Miyabi, Yanagi, and Billy, can all find gear inside this Lost Void that will drastically impact how the agent functions. It will add on different moves and movesets and abilities to the already existing character. Now the mode can be played like without bringing any of these 4, but it's definitely like made to bring one of them, and you'll have the most fun if you do. And more characters will be added on with like subsequent patches. Another neat little thing is if we go pop back and then press bottom right, combat potential. Just like you can in like the normal Hollow Zero, you can also like level up different stuff here. And you also get 5 points to like increase the level up even after you hit the max level, to like increase them slightly more. So for example, increase the chain attack by 60%. Very good. So like the difference between having all of these and not having them is like massive. So like I said, there are 4 characters in the game: Ellen, Miyabi, Yanagi, and Billy. They can all find like unique exclusive gear that will severely impact how they function as characters. Important to note that bringing more than one that can find this gear isn't really worth it, because you have to like still select one to be the receiver of the gear. So like you can't find, you know, some gear for Ellen and then some gear for Miyabi, but the first gear that you pick in the beginning will actually dictate who is the one that like can be upgraded. So in this case, for example, you might instead want to pick one that you pick as you carry and then form a team around that one. Now Miyabi and Yanagi works excellent together, so maybe slot out Ellen and put in a Sokaku, or you know, whoever you want to put in there, maybe a Caesar. And also a neat little thing is that we can click in power adaptation. So for example, my Billy isn't very leveled, he's still at level 10. But if I still want to use my Billy, I can click in the power adaptation. He will get kind of boosted up. They will equip him with a decent enough engine and a decent enough gear set, like in order for him to have a fighting chance. And I find that this feature is just excellent. And on all difficulties except the absolutely hardest ones, they will also even lend you the characters if you do not have them. If you don't have Yanagi, Ellen, or Billy, for example, you will then be able to like borrow a rental one, so you can still like play and experience the mode as it should be experienced. And now we reach kind of the landing area for this, which is, you know, a very cool little base of operations. Like I really like it. It's like we're setting out on an adventure. Here you have two things to do. One, you need to interact with the supply warehouse, and you need to pick an extra helper Bangboo. You might be thinking, well, we picked Sharkboo. Yes, but we do get an extra Bangboo. And more detail regarding that is coming up ahead. So basically these works in very different ways. They're actually very fun, and they're like tailor-made for like different kind of teams. What kind of teams, we'll also go over that. Timestamps if you want to skip right to it. For example, with Ellen, I do like to pick this one. It will give us a Resonium, and it will also increase the decibel limit, and it will recover the on-field character's decibels by quite a lot. So in this mode, you have an extra little button, if you notice it. Like just here to the bottom right, you have an R. When you've accumulated enough Bangboo energy, you can click this R and you briefly get to like control the Bangboo you've chosen. So in our case, Resonium, and he will come out and like do his attack. And he will also, you know, benefit your characters in some way. The one we picked, he will give Ellen, if Ellen is an on-field character, 1,500 decibels, which is, you know, massive. Then we can talk with Ophelia. So we get to pick like 3 different things for Ellen, like 3 different upgrades for Ellen, and like all of these like drastically changes how Ellen functions and plays. Blade of Frost is really cool. Dangerous Bearings also really cool. Oh, maybe the most unique and insane ones is Hunter's Fin. It's a little bit hard to show off just here. So let's for now just pick Dangerous Bearings. So what this one does is when we do a charged dash attack, we will leave an icy mist on the ground that damages and shreds enemies' defense. Let's have a look at it. This mode also comes with its own little training dummy. And also that sound, or like that effect on Ellen. When you pick this gear, she passively accumulates flash freeze charges while sprinting. So let's go in for the attack. And now, can you see the icy mist? This damages and absolutely eats up his ice defense, which is, you know, really cool. And then we're presented with like 2 different ways to continue. Now these are both combat Resonium, but this could have been a shop, it could have been healing, it could have been a double combat, etc. There are so many different variations it can be, but I can't wait to like show you all of them. So yeah, that's the starting area, and now awaits you an entire adventure. So while I talk you through all of the fine details of this mode, I'll be showing you the highlights and footage of separate runs with Miyabi, Yanagi, Ellen, and even Billy. So let's get into it. So before we get started, let me say that any of these gear pieces could have been, you know, cinema, they could have been mindscapes, and they would have been some of the most impactful ones and one of the most fun ones. Like I have a M6 Ellen, but like what her M6 does, like, you know, it pales in comparison to what these things do. So let's go over some of them. And one of my absolute favorites one is called Hunter's Fin. This one, every 15 seconds, one enemy will be marked, and you will see like a big shark teeth, like a shark jaw, appear on an enemy. And any attack hitting this enemy will kind of be replicated, but with an increased crit damage. So if we hit that enemy with a sprinting heavy charge attack, Ellen will immediately do another heavy hitting bite. And if the target is defeated while it has a hunter's mark on it, another enemy will immediately gain a hunter's mark. So you know how they kind of nail the feel of like, you know, playing as a shark when you play as Ellen? Well, even the gear kind of replicates that. Now we are a shark with a mission, and the game will like mark out our targets. And the more targets we can bring down, you know, the more damage our Ellen will do. And as you can probably tell, this just revolutionizes Ellen's combat completely. And, you know, I've been using Ellens for like countless amount of hours, and like the game giving me an easy accessible option to like play in a different way is honestly really fun. Let's look at another one of her. So one of her gear that she can pick up is called Dangerous Bearings. When roaming, Ellen gains 2 flash-free charges and quick charge every 0.5 seconds. So normally you gain Ellen's flash-free charges by like running around and doing dash attacks. With this one, you will accumulate them every 0.5 seconds just sprinting around. And this like really helps out. But the cool real kicker of it is when Ellen hits an enemy with Swift Scissor or Charge Scissor Strike during dash attack or the ambush, she leaves an icy mist on the ground, which deals ice damage over time to enemies and reduces their ice resistance. This adds, you know, a completely new mechanic to her charge attacks. After she goes in for a charge attack, when she hits an enemy, around that enemy there will be created a kind of a big like icy mist that does damage and also shreds enemies' ice defense. Also, you know, it's super fun. Ellen is already like good on the AoE potential, but this, you know, takes it up to another level. Another one, which I think is gonna be a fan favorite, is one they showed off during the live stream. It's called the Blade of Frost. So with this one, the third segment of basic attack, EX special attack, Shagnami, dodge counter, Reef Rock, quick assist and perk assist triggers an additional icy blade. Now this one is super fun. So basically at the end of like anything Ellen does, whether it's an EX special attack, dodge counter, etc., she will do an additional attack with it, which is kind of a big ice blade that just passes through enemies, and it's quite wide, so it's easy to hit a lot of enemies. And when this additional icy blade gets summoned, the crit damage of that move gets increased by 25%, and this stacks up to 3 times. It lasts for 15 seconds, and if you gain another stack, like it refreshes the entire duration. So once again, this just revolutionizes the combat, and it just makes Ellen feel so, you know, freaking good, so freaking fresh. This is very much one of those, like, this could have been her, you know, M6. And like, are you starting to see what I'm meaning with these things? Like, it's not just a small little crankage of percentage, it actually impacts how we play and like think about the combat with a certain character. Like this Blade of Frost, this could like legit have been an M6, and you know, it would have been better than the M6 Ellen currently has, but that would also have hidden it away behind like, you know, a massive paywall. Now instead, it's very, like super easy accessible, and everybody gets to play around with it in this new mode. And honestly, hats off, this is so much fun. So as much as I would love to sit here and like, you know, only talk about Ellen, let's take a look at some of the other favorites, you know, I kind of picked out playing this mode. Yanagi has one called Soaring Moonlight, and this one is wild. I believe they also showed this off during the live stream, but like this one is so much freaking fun. So Yanagi's EX special, anybody that's played Yanagi knows that, you know, she kind of jumps up into the air and comes crashing down. This artifact, this little gear, asks the question, what if she never came down? So she pops up, then she becomes like the most angry little, you know, thundercloud you've ever seen, and she just continuously bombards the enemy with lightning. And after a while, she does, you know, come crashing down and triggers her disorder as well. But like this is also one of those, it's like it is so much freaking fun. Like had this been Yangi's M6, you know, a lot of people would have been going for it just because it revolutionizes her gameplay so much. And you can actually control the little thundercloud you become. So like you're not stationary from where you jump up. You actually, you know, get to move around, and like this one is so much fun. You're obviously, you know, impervious to damage while you're up there. I really liked using this one. And now let's look at another absolutely wild gear piece for Yanagi. It's called Kagura's Dance, and the description of it on it says, while triggering the 5th move of a basic attack in the Yogen stance, or triggering the 4th move of a basic attack in the Kangen stance, we can repeatedly press or hold the attack button to, like, just never stop slashing. You know how Lighter comes in and like he never stops punching? Well, they've given that to Yanagi with this gear piece, but she never stops slashing. And every slash you do will increase Yanagi's electric damage dealt by 4%, stacking up to 15 times. So this is a massive freaking increase that's happening. And after triggering Swift Root and like, you know, Chain Stance, we can seamlessly just go into the other one and continuously just hit the enemy. This obviously works, you know, the very best on an enemy that is stunned, but since Yanagi has quite a lot of like parries built into her kit, it also works on an enemy that is flailing around. This one was so much fun. It's like, oh my god, it once again it revolutionizes how Yanagi actually plays. And if I'm to say some critique about this mode and like these systems, it is that once you're out of them, like you play Yanagi in any other mode, she feels a little bit lesser. It's like we never know how fun she could be until we had all of these things, and once they're gone, you kind of miss them. And now another character that's been getting some love is Billy, and Billy actually has some really crazy stuff. He's the only A-rank character that they've put out like specialized gear for, and once again it completely revolutionizes how Billy functions. And just to test it out, I actually took Billy to the hardest difficulty and, you know, see if he could clear it. And Billy without these gear pieces, he wouldn't have been able to. Billy with these gear pieces, he could. It was a challenge, I'll admit. Like, this game mode is hard. It's harder than, you know, it puts Blitz to shame, but it is also a lot of fun. And I really like the added challenge. And we can make it easier the more upgrades that we've, you know, unlocked before heading into battle. So one of Billy's crazy ones is explosive bullets. So Billy is a very fast attacker, as we all know, right? And like if he continues to like hold the attack button, he kind of hunkers down and like starts shooting very rapidly. Well, take everything you know about Billy and then, you know, put it in the bin, because here's Billy 2.0. These upgrades for Billy kind of makes him feel like an S-rank character. In explosive bullets, he is no longer a fast attacker per se. Instead, he gets a drastically reduced like attack speed, but his bullets hits like freaking trucks instead. So instead of like, you know, small hits for like a couple of thousand, like he's pumping out like 120,000 hits with each shot, and it's honestly, you know, so much fun to do it. Another one that's really fun with Billy is Judgment by Eradication. This allows Billy to hold down his EX special attack button, and that like massively increases the skill. It like skyrockets the damage of it, and it makes it be a certain crit. And like this was what the majority of my build's like damage came from. Like you do this on a stunned enemy, and that stunned enemy, you know, just disappears. And you're of course not like limited to like only one of these gear pieces. Like that would have been good enough, but no, you can like stack them and like, you know, make proper builds with them. One is called the Gunslinger Time. When Billy hits an enemy with EX special attack, a debuff is applied to the target, increases Billy's damage dealt to the target by 60% for 10 seconds. Absolutely insane. And then you can find, you know, other Resonia, other gear pieces, other upgrades that makes it so like you have a chance with every basic attack that your next EX special won't cost energy. Like now we have a proper build going. You see where I'm going with this? Like it becomes absolutely nutty. Like by the time you reach the end boss of a run, you won't even recognize your character. Like they will work so vastly differently from how they did when you entered into it. And now let's talk about everybody's favorite little fox girl. It is of course Hoshimi Miyabi. I've used her extensively in this mode, and she also has so many really fun gear pieces. One of them, so you remember how Caesar is very much incentivized whenever we're doing hard content. Well, with some of Miyabi's gear pieces, you can be a doo-doo and, you know, get away without using Caesar. Now, with Miyabi's Dance of the Sparrows, when Hoshimi Miyabi is attacked by an enemy, she will automatically dodge the attack. So you don't need to dodge, you don't need to do anything, you just need to tank the hit to the face, and she will automatically perfect dodge. Triggering perfect dodge and vital view. Vital view lasts for 3 seconds. The automatic dodge effect can trigger once every 12 seconds. So, you know, you can't take repeated hits. You need to dodge manually for a little bit. And when the effect is triggered, Hoshimi Miyabi's damage is increased by 80%, lasting for 20 seconds. This would be too OP as an M6. They could never release this as an M6. But in this mode, they can, and Once again, it just revolutionizes how Miyabi works. Now, another really fun gear piece for Miyabi is called Snow Debris. And when activating Ultimate Lingering Snow, Hoshibi Miyabi gains 6 stack of Fallen Frost. So Fallen Frost is kind of Miyabi's bread and butter. I'll be talking more on it on my proper Miyabi guide. Stay tuned for that. Or if it's already out, link in the description. While performing basic attack, Shimotsuki, so Miyabi's bread and butter is her Lingering Snow, and it is her basic attack, Shimotsuki. When you hold her attack button, she will kind of grasp the hilt of her sword, starting to prepare to like do a real heavy-hitting Yaitujutsu attack. And this attack can be charged up to like 3 levels. Each level costs 2 stacks of Fallen Frost. But if you charge it up to max, she will gain 210 decibels. And we need 3000 to do an ultimate, right? Yes, in normal circumstances, but there are so many, like Resonium, there are so many other gear pieces that actually like lowers the requirement of what you need to do an ultimate. So I've done certain builds in this where Miyabi basically can like ultimate non-stop. And it is absolutely freaking nutty. And I love it. I love it. Like, I love how freaking crazy your characters become in this. Now, another really fun gear piece for Miyabi is Endless Blizzard. After triggering Frostburn, break, which happens when you build up enough frost on an enemy and, you know, their bar kind of gets filled and they're afflicted by her special frost attribute. Hoshibi Miyabi's next special attack will not consume energy and deal 50% increased damage to enemies with an attribute anomaly. Dude, like, her EX special is so flashy, and like her whole basic attack, like the Shimotsuki stance, is also so flashy. You know, all of this flashy stuff just becomes more and more and more. Like, a lot of Miyabi's gear is just like, you get to do more of the fun stuff with Miyabi. More Shimotsuki, more EX special, and more ultimates. She just becomes a machine of death, and it is just so much fun. But the fun and the ambition of this mod does not end there. We also get a gear piece that will enhance a Bangboo that we get with us. So like, we can still bring a Bangboo for choosing, but in the starting area we'll also get to pick up like, you know, a bigger, badder Bangboo that gets its own button, it gets its own ability. For example, if you pick Resonium and you get enough Bangboo energy, you can press R, and for a brief little moment you will control Resonium and like do his big sucky suck. And this is also such a stroke of genius, because every Bangboo and like every gear for that Bangboo like will benefit different teams. As of time of recording, there are right now 4 different Bangboos that we can bring with us on our mission. But every Bangboo has 2 ways to play it, like has a variation to their buff, and once again we take the one that benefits us the very most, right? So the first gear, when we click the Bangboo button, when we have enough Bangboo energy, it recovers all squad members' decibels by 500. Remember, in the 1.4, every character is going to be able to do their ultimates. Decibels are no longer shared. So this one gives 500 to all of your squad members. If you instead bring Resonium's other like gear, the Healing Sachet, it instead recovers the on-field character's decibels by 1,500. So do you want your entire team to like be doing more ultimates, or do you just want to focus it on like your main character? Like, imagine this might be a better one for, say, Jane, for example, if she's followed by a Seth and Rina team. As good and as Seth and Rina are, maybe you'd rather have, like, you know, Jane being able to spam her ultimate rather than, you know, Seth being able to do his ultimate more often. And of course the level 1, 2, 3 and 4 also changes. For example, with this second gear, on level 1 is the decibel limit is increased to 6,000 for all squad members, which means you're gonna be able to like stockpile more ultimates. We require 3,000 to do an ultimate normally, yeah. Then there are other gear, other Resonium that is gonna lower this. So like, you can get it down to that every ultimate costs 2,000. Then you'll be able to stockpile 3 ultimates on top of each other. Then there are certain Resonium that gives you back decibels when you ultimate. Like, I'm telling you, this can become just a crazy ult fest if you want it. You know, if that's not your thing, well, then you can go for other Bangboos, other builds. The sky and like your own fantasy is really the limit when it comes to this mode. You can have the zone energy field if you bring a Bangboo. This one is a boss killer. When you're in combat, you will passively accumulate agility charges. And when an enemy comes to like smack you and you get smacked, you will then consume your agility charges, and depending on how many gets consumed, you will enter agility for a certain period of time. Once in this agility mode, any damage you do to the boss will get saved up, and a certain percentage of that damage will then be dealt to the boss once the agility ends. So, you know, say that you do 1,000,000 damage during an agility, say the last 8 seconds, then they will take 10% damage as like a final, you know, goodbye kiss once that agility ends. Like, this is such an effective boss killer, and of course more levels, you know, increases what it does. The level 4, this one for example, is while in the agility state, all squad members crit rate is increased by 20, crit damage is increased by 40, and anomaly build-up rate is increased by 40%. So these agility windows, like, you know, becomes your killing windows. And the other version of this one is called Talisman of 5 Realms. With this one, agility is still, you know, the main focus, but the way we get it is in different ways. And in this one, it all instead becomes like a game of doing as many perfect dodges as humanly possible. So I found that Jane works like amazingly with this one. She's already really good at killing bosses, and she's best in the game when it comes to like doing perfect dodges. And we get this bad boy to level 2 while in the agility state, triggering a perfect dodge extends the duration of agility by 3 seconds. My dude's absolutely freaking massive. So like, any team you can think of, they're gonna have like, you know, a best version of a Bangboo that they can bring with them. Another one I've been running a lot is a Sharkboo plugin called Essence Pill. With this one, Sharkboo accumulates energy over time, and when any squad member stuns or inflicts disorder on enemies, Sharkboo gains additional energy. So like having this in a Yanagi team where disorders are gonna be happening, boom, 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 you know, works really well. So when you click this button, when you have enough Bangboo energy, the Sharkboo will come in and it will give your agents 3 random buffs. And at level 1, when inflicting daze or disorder on an enemy, the agent randomly draws 3 to 6 times from the following buffs, with each buff stacking up to 6 times. Energy regen increased, death increased, damage taken reduced, impact increased, anomaly proficiency increased, and decibel generation rate increased. So like, this kind of becomes like a, you know, how Piper engine work, Roaring Ride. This is kind of that, but, you know, turned into a Sharkboo plugin. So this is a very good Bangboo if you're running a disorder team. And the other version of this plugin is called Solvent Launcher, and it incentivizes stunning or triggering attribute anomaly. So not necessarily only disorders. And for the last little Bangboo that can be assisting us, we have Brawlerboo. Now, Brawlerboo, when we click the button when we have enough energy, he will come in and he will actually take 30% of all squad members' current HP, and then he will go to town on the enemies, fueled by, you know, the blood of his friends, which is us. But he will also grant a shield to all squad members based on 20% of their lost HP. And at level 1, we take 2.5% less damage and deal 10% more damage for every 10% of HP we are missing. So, you know, to min-max this buff, we kind of want to be sitting at very low HP, but preferably, you know, protected by a shield. So running this one in a Caesar team, for example, works really well, trust me. And the level 3 like kind of doubles these stats. So instead, for every 10% of HP you're missing, you get 20% more damage. So imagine that we're sitting at 10% HP, but with a massive shield, dude, your agents will be hitting so freaking hard. And at level 4, while Blood Fury Amplifier is active, for every 1% of HP lost, the agent's crit damage increases by 1.6% up to a maximum increase of 120%. So just on top of all the other buffs that this Bangboo gives us, it also gives us 120 extra crit damage. Like, you slapped on this on an attacker or, you know, basically any agent in the game, and whoo, just watch them fly when it comes to the damage numbers. And for the second version of the Brawlerboo, the Combat Nutrient Pack. It's still like a play between life and death, but it's not shield based anymore. Rather, this version of Brawlerboo, he will gain energy faster the lower the HP percentage of the on-field agent. And when we click the Bangboo button, he will come in and he will recover, like, and instead of like giving us a shield, he will actually recover our HP. But also, if we bring this guy, we lose HP with every attack. On level 1, when an attack hits an enemy, the agent enters the Blood Fury state for 2 seconds. And now, while in the blood-free state, the agent deals 75% increased damage, which, you know, is massive, takes 10% reduced, but we lose 1% of the agent's HP is consumed per second when their current HP is higher than 20%. So, you know, we can't kill us with this, which, you know, thank God. Once again, this is gonna be like a Bangboo that's very good to run if you have Caesar, like, you know, some way of keeping yourself safe, so you're not one little whiff away from instant death. So very much high risk, high reward. And out of these ones, I wonder if these last ones aren't my favorite. I really like it, but I also do really love the utility that the Resonium bring. The Lost Void is the ultimate Hollow Zero experience. They managed to like retain the wacky encounters that we had like in the TVs, like kind of the wild, uncanny valley feel that the TVs had, and like the people that we met there, even the little scumbag debt collector or loan shark. He's in here, and I've tried killing him, we can't. But he's in here. Like all of those encounters are in this mode, but they're more fleshed out, and it feels like you're actually experiencing them. And the uncanny valley feeling, it's there, but it is even more amplified. I made videos regarding the Blitz mode when that was released. That, like, I like the Blitz. I think it is like a step in the right direction. Then I gave like a dozen improvements and changes and additions I would like to see. And the Lost Void honestly ticks all of them, and like you know, just continues going. Like in this mode, you will come into a room where there's like 10 Bangboos and one has a mustache, and you know, they're trying to sell you some high-end mystical, mysterious drug that, you know, it turns you into a toad, but it turns you into a very strong toad. And no run is like the other one. Like it allows for so much, you know, experimenting between different builds. If you want to run like an EX special attack Ellen, like where you pump everything into the EX special attack, that works. You want to put one into where, you know, all is about her charged dash attacks, also works. If you want to use Ellen's ultimate 15 times in 30 seconds, there are builds that will make that possible. It is the ultimate freedom, and it takes agents that we know and love, like agents that we could play in our sleep because we're so familiar with them, and like they make them feel fresh and they make them feel new. Compared to the TVs, this mode actually, you know, makes us feel like we are controlling the Hollows. It actually feels like, you know, we're going in with a group of friends. It is structured with like 3 bosses, areas in between, and between every boss you have a rest area where you can talk to the agents, and this is also where the friendship comes into play. You know, the little tent icon that we had when exploring the TVs, and you could get the mindscape of certain characters. This is where you get those in these rest areas. And it honestly felt really nice just, you know, hanging out, like talking with the agents, and it kind of felt like you were setting up a momentary camp. You just take a little bit of a breather before continuing on. And it is also in these places where you will get like the next upgrade for your character. Now you can of course form teams that doesn't consist of Miyabi, Yanagi, Billy or Ellen, but I found that the most fun in this mode was bringing one of those so you can experience like all of the new stuff that they are capable of doing. And this is where you will get like the option to further increase that character. And certain upgrades are like harder to come by, so like once you finally manage to pick up the S rank upgrade for your character that you haven't seen for a few runs, like you're gonna be happy. You're like, oh yes, finally we can get this build on the running. And this mode is very similar to like the Divergent universe from Honkai Star Rail, so Honkai fans will feel right at home. And after you're done with one area, a few portals will be presented to you, and you get to choose like how you progress. Are you really hurt? Well, then you can, you know, cross your fingers and hope that you will get a healing zone coming up ahead. Or maybe you're in for a challenge, you know, you want some more rewards, like get stronger. Then you will have combat challenges, and these combat challenges isn't just, you know, your bog standard. You get certain ones, you get more rewards for clearing them fast or not taking damage during them, etc. There are shops, there are encounters, there are mystery encounters, there is healing, there's uncanny, there is funny, there is wholesome, and there is really cool stuff to be explored in this mode. And the mode itself, just like the old Nest mode has, where you can like choose your own difficulty, so you can do here. For people like me that really wants to challenge, you know, we can crank this up to 11 or to 9 specifically. and gain a little bit more rewards and much more of a challenge. For the more casual players, you know, if you play on Zero Ether, you can enjoy this mode without, you know, sweating basically at all. It is truly a mode for like every type of player. And honestly, just feeling out how freaking like good Billy feels in this mode, I cannot wait until like they bring out more specific gear for like other kind of underused, undervalued characters. Like, dude, I want the Piper gear. I want the oh, dude, I want Corin. Like, I want to see more underused, you know, kind of on the weaker side characters get the Billy treatment that he's received in this. But I also cannot wait to see what they will do with existing powerhouses. Like, my dudes, I cannot even imagine what they'll give Jane, for example. Jane and Bernice, I think, is gonna be absolutely, like, insane. And I want you to tell me down in the comments, which character are you most interested in, like, you know, seeing? Because, like, you won't understand it until you feel it, how freaking cool it is to see your favorite unit getting more moves, like, you know, a new rotation in combat. Everybody, this video has gone on for way too long. I overshot my mark by, you know, a lot. But there was so much I felt like I needed to cover in this mode, and there's still so much, you know, I haven't had the chance or the time to touch upon. Also, I don't want to, you know, explain every nook and cranny, because I want it to be a little bit of a mystery when you do it yourself. Peeps, I think you're going to love this new game mode. I've absolutely loved my time with it. Like, I've spent so many freaking hours in there just trying out different stuff, and every round I just, you know, I find something new, and I find encounters I haven't seen before, and it honestly amazes me like how, like, this little mode alone could have been the entire update. Like, you know, that would kind of have made sense. But this is just one small little part of, like, you know, the giant party that we're getting. Like, I've heard from one of the staffs at Hoyo that, like, they kind of made 1.4 to be like a party and a celebration, like, to us, the players. And that is kind of what 1.4 feels like. And the viewer, if you are still watching, I want to be thanking you for your time. I hope you found the video helpful. I hope you found it informative. And if you have any additional questions about, you know, about the game mode or about anything Zenless in general, put it in the comments and I'll make sure to come back to you. And these videos take a long ass time to make. I'm my own editor, like, I make everything myself, and it just, this was a big one. So if you enjoyed it, I would, you know, I would love a thumbs up and maybe a subscribe to the channel. I will be covering all of the other changes coming in the 1.4, and let me tell you, I'm working double time this week. Like, the 1.4 patch contains more stuff than like all of the other patches put together, I think. Like, it is absolutely massive, and I can't wait to tell you all more about it. But everybody, thank you so freaking much for watching. Until next time, Hako out.